Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Jujutsu Kaisen. Unlock the 8 secret arts at the start. Chapter 31. The sea breeze set off ripples, and waves appeared on the calm sea. Flowing clouds in the sky happened to cover the sun, and everything seemed so peaceful. Ryuiki lay on the wisteria rocking chair, closing his eyes contentedly, and the rocking chair swayed slightly. In such a calm afternoon, everything seemed so beautiful. He was like a young man who didn't know anything about the world, with a smile on the corner of his mouth, as if waiting for something to come. You really will enjoy it. A man's voice suddenly sounded, and that unruly voice was a bit playful. Far away at the edge of the horizon, the man's figure slowly emerged. Then disappeared again in an instant. Next moment, he has already appeared next to Ryuiki. On the beach behind him, not even a single footprint appeared. As if this man appeared out of thin air. Oh, it's okay, I'm boring enough to wait. Ryuiki was still lying on the rocking chair, her eyes narrowed slightly, and she looked at the not-so-tall man beside her, and her moon-white eyes were a little bit of interest. This is the ghost of you, isn't it? The man is Fuhaisher, and now his arm is covered by a palm-sized black ball. There was a faint curse shining continuously on the ball. After leaving the supermarket, Shire was surprised to find that such a strange thing appeared on his arm at some time. Although this black ball doesn't have any aggressiveness, and it seems to be able to increase the power of the blessing to a certain extent, it is a good cursed tool for the Jujutsu master. But for Shire, who has always been known for his assassination ability, this thing with weak curse power is simply a thorn in his eye and a thorn in his flesh. As the strongest heavenly restriction, Shire, because there is no curse power in his body, coupled with his abnormal concealment ability, it is almost impossible for ordinary Jujutsu masters to detect his existence. Just like the Yaga Masamiki in the supermarket before, unless there is a very special Jujutsu, almost all Jujutsu teachers cannot detect Shire. But now, the appearance of that strange black ball on his arm completely destroyed this. Even with the weak curse power, it is still difficult to escape under the perception of Master Jujutsu, and she is as conspicuous as if it is installed with a light. He also tried to grab the black ball directly with brute force, but the black ball seemed to be integrated with his body, completely rooted in his body. No matter how hard it was difficult to pull it out. In other words, his power was eliminated by Jujutsu covered by the black ball. This made Shire very annoyed, and the black ball seemed to be carrying some kind of guidance. There were waves of curse power along the way, echoing the direction of the beach. You don't even need to think about it, Zenin Ryuiki made the ghost. So he directly killed him non-stop. He didn't even go to his favorite casino. After all, Ryuiki's hand was too ruthless, which was equivalent to breaking his way directly. How about it? Is this little thing fun? Ryuiki sat up a little bit, raised her brows, and looked at the scowling Shire beside her, knocking on the armrest of the rocking chair casually. Da da da. The voice had a certain magical power, which calmed down the obviously irritable Shire next to him. She frowned lightly, her ink-like eyes condensed slightly, her feet separated, stepped back and forth, and her muscles collapsed slightly. Shire, who survived countless life and death battles, gained an extremely keen intuition, and his body responded instinctively. You can enter the battle at any time, can affect the mood, can affect the situation of the battle. This is the law that Shire has summed up after countless battles. Like a war machine, he felt a sense of crisis at the moment his emotions were calmed down. Don't be so nervous, I just want to make a deal with you. Ryuiki looked at Fuhaisher, who was like an enemy, and shook his hand to show that he was not malicious. Deal? What deal? How about being my employee? My house of everything has no employees yet. Hearing this, Shire was taken aback. He really didn't expect Ryuiki to want to take him. As a bounty hunter, taking money to do things is his rule. But the strong always have the dignity of the strong. What he wants to do and what he wants to do are completely different to Fuhaisher. The corners of his mouth twitched in a dangerous arc, and his eyes shrank slightly, looking at the smiling Ryuiki in front of him like a poisonous snake and said, "Why, just rely on this toy on my arm. Ha ha ha, of course not, of course I am better than you." As soon as this was said, Shire's expression became very funny, and the look in Ryuiki's eyes seemed to be an idiot. You are better than me. Do you want to make a bet? We only fight physically. If I win, you will become my employee. Ryuiki stretched out a finger and looked at Shire earnestly, his whole body's strength constantly emerging. Then what if you lose? Shire's tone became extremely solemn, perhaps because she felt the tyrannical power burst out of Ryuiki's body. A dagger also appeared in his hand. I won't lose. Bang! Bang! The moment Ryuiki's voice fell, both of them disappeared at the same time. There were two extremely clear air bursts. This is an airburst that can only appear when the speed reaches a certain level. Ryuiki clenched a fist with his left hand, the curse power of the whole body was not obvious, and the tyrannical force was concentrated in one point, and he punched Shire in front of him. Bang! The strength was so strong that an air burst appeared again in midair. Shire faced Ryuiki's menacing punch, with his hands stacked on his chest. The power broke out in vain. The power of the two clashed together madly. The tyrannical force raged like a storm. Click. The surrounding wild fruit trees were broken by the impact of the aftermath of the force. Just the collision between the bodies created such a terrifying scene. Boom. Wow. Ryuiki's eyes are like electricity. Like a walking humanoid Ryuiki, his slender body carries unimaginable power. One punch after another, he helped Shire in front of him. Shire's brows were lightly frowned, and he felt that the tiger's mouth was aching, but just blocking Ryuiki's fist with his palm made him a little hard to resist. For so many years, he has never been the only one who relied on his own physical strength to crush others, and when will he be suppressed with strength? Is this kid really heavenly restriction? Shire gritted his teeth. One step is slow, step by step is slow. At the moment of the confrontation between the two, Ryuiki took the lead. He insisted on using his inhuman strength to talk about the suppression. Bang! Benquan punch. Ryuiki's eyes changed, and the strength in his hand increased a bit. Both fists were thrown out, and he went straight to the gate of Shire. The fierce power actually evacuated the surrounding air, and the blown fist, like a cannonball, came with terrifying power. In the face of such a tyrannical blow, Fuhei Shire did not retreat but moved forward, twisting his body, and flashing to Ryuiki's left side at an extremely strange angle, 1 second before Ryuiki's attack was about to fall. Boy, you are too tender. Base. Swinging the dagger in his hand, like the fangs of a hungry wolf, he took Ryuiki's head straight. You were fooled, idiot. Ryuiki's eyes suddenly looked at Shire beside him, with a bit of sarcasm. Seeing this scene, Shire's heart suddenly rose up with a trace of badness. The dagger came out directly, wanting to withdraw and evacuate. But it was too late. I don't know when, one of Ryuiki's palms quietly appeared on his chest. Benquan punch. Pong. Rumble. The power of horror erupted instantly and exploded directly in Shire's chest. Shire backed a few steps, his face pale, his chest shirt was already in tatters, and the corners of his mouth were red. Compared to Shire, who is like a beggar, Ryuiki on the opposite side is still as lazy and casual. It seems like nothing has been done. Standing in place, the smile that always hangs on the corner of the mouth is even brighter. With his white teeth exposed, under the sun, he was like a demon who chose people and devoured him. It deserves to be the strongest body. Even with 6 immortal thief treasury moisturizing the body, it is still difficult to defeat him. In fact, Ryuiki is not as easy as it seems on the surface, although the battle between the two seems to be a one-sided situation. But every time Ryuiki attacks, he actually puts a huge load on his body. So he shot without mercy and tried to defeat the enemy. But Fuhei Shire deserves to be the name of the strongest body. After receiving such a blow from the front, he was only slightly injured. Although his face was pale, his whole body was full of energy and blood, and he still carried a very crazy fighting spirit. Sure enough, it's a monster. Ryuiki thought to himself. Shire tore off the tattered shirt. A body covered with scars was exposed. Countless scars crisscrossed his body. Like an ugly centipede, lying on his body. It was after countless battles that left the glory and medals. Come again. Shire cracked his mouth open, revealing a bloodthirsty smile. His whole body's strength continued to gather, and the sand under his feet instantly exploded into a deep pit. Shire's figure disappeared before Ryuiki's eyes at the same time. Seeing Shire's figure disappeared, Ryuiki didn't panic either, using his feet in vain. The figure also rose into the air instantly. Shire appeared on the opposite side of Ryuiki at the same time. Bang! Bang! Bang bang bang! Shire's fists hit Ryuiki's chest with terrifying power like thunder. Ryuiki didn't evade, and abruptly accepted Shire's extremely powerful punch. Bang! Shire only felt that this lap seemed to hit a high mountain. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't shake Ryuiki half a point. Are you tickling me? Ryuiki glanced at Shire contemptuously, and punched out abruptly. The strength was so fast that he left many afterimages in the air. Bang! Shire also did not dodge, physically resisting Ryuiki's punch. A hint of redness flashed quickly across his face, but there was still arrogance between the eyebrows. You are nothing but that. I hope your bones can be as hard as your mouth. Bang! Bang bang! The impact of fists and body continued to sound, and the friction of bones and the scarlet of blood seemed to be the main theme of everything. There is no bells and whistles, nor any fighting skills. Both of them tacitly chose the most masculine way to determine the outcome of this battle. The fist was like raindrops, leaning on the opponent's body recklessly. Every punch used all his strength. It's like a machine. The two fell on the beach from midair, not exhausted or how long it took. If this is a life and death fight, I have 10,000 ways to kill you. Fuhaishi's nose was bruised and face was swollen, blood was constantly flowing out of the corners of his mouth, and there were countless bruises all over his body, making his already terrifying body even more bloody. He grinned and looked at the other side. To Ryuiki, who looked a bit embarrassed but almost unscathed, said in a vicious voice. Good job. Got it, then you work hard. Ryuiki seemed to coax a child, but with his left hand raised high, he clenched his fist tightly. The powerful force gathered again and unceremoniously punched Shire's abdomen. This punch arched Shire's whole body, like a well-cooked prawn. His eyes were white, and the blue veins on both sides of his head violently. Obviously, this punch caused Fuhaishi, who was already weak in physical strength, to take great damage. But the dignity of the strong supports Shire's will, even if his consciousness is a little confused, looking at Ryuiki's figure is slightly doubled. But still gritted his teeth, raised a trembling iron fist, and staggered towards Ryuiki. Even though this punch has not had much strength, it still makes Ryuiki feel a little admired. Patter. The soft fist fell on Ryuiki's face, leaving a blood mark. Fuhaishi, you are a respectable fellow, but not enough. The smile on Ryuiki's face narrowed, and there was a rare seriousness on his face. Opposite him, the man who seemed to never be subdued, did not sneer as before. I saw his body maintaining the posture of punching, his eyes were white, his teeth were locked tightly, like a lone wolf, with a fierce hostility. Look at Ryuiki closely. If you faint, you will fall down well. Ryuiki reluctantly moved Shire's fist away. Next moment, puff. Fuhaishi, this powerful man, fell to the ground like a golden mountain collapsed. That last punch had exhausted all of Shire's strength, and he fell into a coma together with his unwillingness and ambition. Ryuiki squatted on the ground. The moon-white eyes flashed with a gleam. If it hadn't been for the curse power stored by 6 immortal thief treasury that was constantly repairing his body, it would be himself who fell on the ground now. Heavenly restriction, the strongest body, Fuhaishi deserves the name of mortal ceiling. But unfortunately, he encountered a real hang-up. 6 immortal thief treasury moisturizes the body, allowing Ryuiki's physical strength to reach an extremely terrifying peak. By relying only on the body, it is almost on par with Shire. But in terms of combat experience, Ryuiki is far less than the old and cunning Shire. If you fight as usual, then Ryuiki will have to pay a great price even if he can win. But Ryuiki abandons jujutsu and only fights his body, which arouses Fuhaishi's arrogance. People who are born without cursive power are almost like falling into hell in the place where jujutsu is the supremacy of Zenin's house. But the perfect heavenly restriction gave Fuhaishi a nearly invincible body. Even in hell, he is still the most ruthless Rakshasa. He is confident that his body is invincible and perfect. So when Ryuiki gave up the curse power, Fuhaishi also gave up his biggest killer. The two of them used the most primitive method to determine who stood on the boundless sea of sand in the end. The 6 immortal thief treasury, who can constantly repair his injuries, has shown amazing results in this kind of battle. Every punch of Ryuiki caused Fuhaishire's body to suffer huge damage. And even though Fuhaishire's attack made Ryuiki feel terribly painful, the actual damage he received was really minimal. Under the circumstances, Fuhaishire was naturally defeated and fainted to the ground. When the consciousness fell into a deep sleep, only a strange thought rose in Fuhaishire's heart. Can heavenly restriction also have curse power? It is hard for him to believe how the body can achieve that kind of abnormality if Ryuiki does not have heavenly restriction. Ryuiki stood up from the beach and stretched a big slacker. There was a crackling sound all over. It's like popping beans. Looking at Sheer, who fell on the ground, his left hand was raised, his two fingers were brought together, and bursts of curse power radiated all over his body. The Shenjitian hanging on his chest flashed a faint blue. Fuhaishire's body slowly floated under the halo. Welcome to the House of Everything, Ryuiki said softly. Base. The voices and the light were brilliant, and the two figures instantly rose up, turned into two streams of light, and instantly disappeared into the sky. Since then, the strongest assassin, Fuhaishire, has officially become the first employee of the House of Everything. At the same time, already felt that Gojo Satoru in the supermarket raised his brows slightly and looked up at the sky with a smile on his mouth. Ryuiki, you guy, how come you are here? Gojo Satoru's voice was not loud, but Ieri Shoko, who was full of Ryuiki's leaving figure, heard it really. What did you say? Ah, it doesn't matter. You haven't told me who defeated the special grade. I thought it was going to be fun, but I didn't expect it to be preempted. It's really disgusting. Gojo Satoru responded casually and quickly focused his attention on the previous question. But after he heard of the emergence of the super class, he kept coming straight from Tokyo to break out Jujutsu. Unexpectedly, he was robbed first. Originally wanted to ask Masamiki teacher, but seeing that guy looks busy, Gojo Satoru didn't make trouble. Rather, it entangled the first eyewitness, Ieri Shoko. No one thought of Shoko but didn't say it. Despite Gojo's various methods, she still refused to speak. Ryuiki's status in Shoko's heart is now rising, and the mountain-like figure flashes through her heart from time to time. In a pair of beautiful eyes, there is a somewhat natural amorous feeling. Ryuiki belongs to the Zenin family, and the Zenyuan family and Gojo Satoru's Gojo family are the same three families. But it has always been at odds. In the final analysis, it can even be traced back to hundreds of years ago. The patriarchs of the two big families died together in the imperial test. This almost caused the Gojo and Zenin homes to be submerged in the torrent of history. In the family, there are countless strong men. In the Jujutsu world, there is no such thing as big three sorcerer families for a long time, but the Kamo family is the only one. This incident is not a secret. Although his birth is not as noble as Gojo Satoru, Shoko is not an ordinary person, so she is very clear about the grievances between the two families. Even now Ryuiki has been evicted from the house. But after all, there is the blood of the Zenyuan family in the body and flowing. Shoko did not look for certainty. As the next patriarch of the Gojo family, Wu once learned that the Zenyuan family had a superior that was comparable to him. What kind of behavior would he do? On the one hand, he saved his benefactor, and on the other hand, he is his partner for the next few years. Shoko couldn't imagine if Zenin Ryuiki and Gojo Satoru were on the opposite side, then he would face the two of them. So when Gojo Satoru asked what happened before, she chose not to mention it. But just now, the man's name appeared in Gojo Satoru's mouth. Could they have known each other a long time ago? Shoko suddenly thought of such a conclusion. Both are big three sorcerer families, and the two are about the same age, maybe they really know each other. As soon as an idea came out, the more Shoko thought about it, the more he realized it was possible. Shoko, just tell me. Oops. Gojo Satoru put both hands on Shoko's shoulders, shaking Shoko's body frantically, directly bringing Shoko, who was a little absent-minded, back to reality. Idiot. Shoko took an angry look, and there was an idiot like Gojo in front of him. He obviously had an appearance that fascinated everyone's lives, but he seemed like an idiot as he pleased. Unconsciously, I compare him and Ryuiki together. But apparently, Zenin Ryuiki won, and the comparative Libra didn't even hold on for a second, it leaned directly on Ryuiki's body. Say it, Gojo said in an almost coquettish tone, twisting his body. This tone, combined with his extremely cold face, seemed so out of place. But it is so true that the strong should ignore everything and do whatever they want. This sentence is the best expression of Gojo Satoru's life creed. From the moment he was born, the pattern of the entire Jujutsu world has changed because of him, and all the units of measurement have become Gojo Satoru's line of good and evil. He is evil, and the whole world will fall into an abyss that never sees the sun. If he is good, then, whether it is the terrifying cursed spirit or the lawless curse master, he will be condemned by the heavens, with a sharp sword hanging on his head forever, a sword that can take their lives at any time. The future Nanami Kento once said that Gojo Satoru can kill everyone in Fuso alone. So he doesn't need to care about the world, nor does he need to live in the eyes of anyone, in a sense. He and Zenin Ryuiki are the same kind of people, equally powerful and equally free. Fortunately, Gojo Satoru is lawful by nature. Although a bit frivolous, his heart is still a pure land. Do you answer me a question first? I'll tell you. Okay, you ask. Do you know Ryuiki? Shoko hesitated and asked this question again and again. Even though he already had the answer in his mind, he still wanted to get the exact answer from Gojo. Hearing this, Gojo was stunned for a moment, and a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The sunglasses slipped slowly, revealing a pair of blue eyes, staring at Shoko closely, as if seeing something funny. That guy, it's Mikan. After Gojo Satoru finished speaking, no matter what Shoko's reaction was, he turned around, crossed his hands behind his head, and walked out of the supermarket. The original Gojo suspected that Ryuiki did it, but he still had doubts in his heart. Hearing Shoko's problem right now, if he still couldn't figure out who did it, then his strongest is a joke. Similar. It's hard to be recognized by you. Sha Yuji, who was struggling with strange braids on his head, walked out from the side with a smile, and hit Gojo with his shoulder, as one of the few friends who could be favored by Gojo. Sha Yuji has enough proud capital. His jujutsu can control the cursed spirit, and even when the strength reaches a certain level, even the special level will be used by him. It is also one of the 4 special grades in the world in the future. That guy is very strong. Sha Yu, maybe you are not his opponent. Gojo Satoru pushed a slippery sunglasses, looked at Sha Yu who was obviously interested, and said something like this. Sha Yu's expression froze. He was not a person to fight, but he also heard Gojo Satoru's recognition of Ryuiki. Really? Then I will try not to provoke him. Sha Yuji shrugged casually. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.